Greetings, Minecrafters, and welcome to another Minecraft discussion today. My name is Kimberly Quinn, and I am thrilled to have this talk from the deep freeze in northern Vermont. I mean, it is severe. It's like negative 1,000 today. I don't even know. But I have to tell you, I love winter. And I love when it's this cold, though, because it's so sparkly. It's just sparkly everywhere. I mean, you can't really stand out there and look at it for long, but it's just really very beautiful. Anyway, so really what I would like to talk about today is sort of the idea of really like putting the brakes on bonding with your wounds. And once again, none of any of the videos I do are meant to be in place of any kind of therapy or anything like that, though they can be a great complement to therapy for sure. But I think this is such a good conversation to have because it's very common and very easy to sort of want to continue to identify with that old story because I think it validates us. It feels like it feels like it's empowering, even though it's actually the opposite. Because when we stay in victim mode, even if it seems like it's subtle, you're not talking about, oh, I'm a victim, or even using the word. When we identify with all those old memories, and it feels like it's strong and everything like that. It's really not. It's taking away hugely from our present moment life minutes, which is one reason. Alan Watts talks about it, and he talks about the wake behind the boat. And think about it. I'm thinking about a little speedboat we had when I was a kid, and you know the wake behind it, and water skiing back and forth over it. And I just picture a wake. And it's what's behind the boat. So if you picture the boat as a moving story, because we're all present moment, what do we say? What does Wayne Dyer say? He says, we're not human beings living a spiritual experience. We're spiritual beings living a human experience, right? So picture us in motion. We are walking balls of energy. And what's behind us, all this stuff that's happened is the wake behind, this being going forward. And it's all over. It's all done. And, obviously when anybody's gone through big stress or trauma, they're different, right? Trauma, by definition, is when the mind's ability to cope has been overridden, right? And that's huge and big. We're not saying it's not legitimate. Of course not. Absolutely, we all need to be validated. And after we hopefully work through that, what's left is kind of like the skeleton without the meat on it. Because the mind doesn't work where the memories just delete. It just does not work that way. However, we can work through it enough to have a conversation without being leveled. And we can also learn how to avoid certain situations. We just, the word trigger is kind of overused, but if a situation has us uncomfortable and in a place where we're not feeling, empowered and like our best selves, well, don't do that. You know what I mean? So the wake behind the boat. So he talks about, okay, that's over. And really what's driving the boat is the question. What's driving the boat is our present moment energy. Our present moment energy. So in order to, actually I had one more. I love these one-liners. Wayne Dyer also says, we don't die from a snake bite. Truth right there, right? It's not the bite. The snake bites once, as far as I know. I'm not exactly a snake expert, but I think the snake bites once, and it's the venom running through us that makes us physically sick and die, right? So when we hang on to all those old stories, even though they're legit, we hang on to them and relive them, the venom just runs through us. And the thing is, neurologically speaking, because Mindcraft is definitely based on neuroscience. Some people say that, but then it's not really so much so, you know what I mean? But in reality, my doctorate's in cog psych, and I could talk about neurons all day long and not have one bored second. So I will tell you that the brain is wonderfully plastic, not meaning like Fisher-Price plastic, but it means it's malleable and flexible, and it wants to heal. It wants to heal itself. And we, as the captain of our ship, have to guide the neurons to get them to do what we want to do. Kind of like a parent with a 2-year-old. We've talked about this. And so what we want to do is really work, instead of continuing to allow these old memories, because remember, when we allow old memories, and allow is the word, right? When we allow old memories to the surface, they're also dragging along old emotion. And like a barnacle on your butt, right? It just comes right along with it. And so we end up feeling as like we did whenever it is happened. It might not be with the same intensity, but if it's shame, that feeling of being flawed and defective, not enough, like Swiss cheese. That is most, in my opinion, the most excruciating feeling a human being can possibly feel. When we relive some shameful childhood message, we're feeling shameful again. We don't need that. These are our present moment valuable life minutes that are being corroded like battery acid because of something that happened when we were 5 or 7 and 9 or 10 or 15 or whatever, and then maybe relived later. And so what we want to do is really be conscious of that. Realize we're the gatekeeper of our own thoughts. And once we realize that each and every thought we allow expands, we get far more selective about the ones we allow to hang around. And then we talked about the 17-second thing too, right? After 17 seconds, it gets that much harder. So it's when we get really diligent about, oh, wait, no, no. So we're not talking about toxic positivity either. When something, happened yesterday and you have to process it, of course, we're not saying that. It's just what we want to do is process, validate, to feel is to heal, then shift out of that stuff. And especially if it's from childhood, that's a long time ago, okay? Long time ago. And we don't want to sacrifice our precious, most valuable life minutes now. And so and my dear friend Oprah, I love her so much. We're very good friends. She just doesn't know, but one day I'm going to meet her. She has often talked about turning wounds into wisdom, and that is the ticket, because then we are empowered. Victims are powerless, right? We become empowered when we turn wounds to wisdom. And Joe Dispenza, who's also becoming a friend, YouTube friend, he says it a different way. What does he say about? He says wisdom is the wound without the pain. Very similar to my friend Oprah. So we're all on the same page here, really. And so, with my own story, I know, a lot of you have been listening, I grew up in a very addicted household, and with some very definite mental illness going on, and some, a lot of scenes made and laundry thrown out in the front yard, and there was, physical abuse, and I underwent sexual abuse with an extended family member, not in my household, just to add to it, just to be clear, that was not in my household. But the physical abuse, so loud, oh my gosh, it was just loud, with the fighting and like, the violence, and the chaos, and the shame. I mean, I breathe shame like I would breathe oxygen. That's very present in addicted households. It doesn't have to be addicted, but the shame thing, it feels like it's in your bone marrow. It takes a long time to kind of work through that. But here's the thing, and now I can share with you as a very humble example, because I'm be super clear that I'm only sharing this to help other people at this point, because I have let go of all of that a very long time ago. And I actually pray for my parents. I just, kind of very basic, just go with God. I wish no harm. There's actually a Sanskrit word for that, by the way, which I used to use when I was serving and bartending, which different but applies. Ahimsa, which means do no more harm. And people don't even have to know what you're doing on your heart. Just you say it to yourself. Ahimsa, do no more harm. Do no harm, and just wish them the best. Go with God, or however you want to say that. Go with higher power. Send the good vibes. I hope that they are well. I really do. And now I can share this exactly like what we were saying before about the skeleton without the meat. So the only purpose I'm sharing it now is to help other people, because I know how much I appreciated that along my journey when I had, and I still have, I have such good people in my life, and angels, really. And I know that it helped me all along my journey. I went on different retreats, and even in college, and there were, college kids, students who were a little older than me, sharing stuff that happened to them. There was this retreat in Canada that we went to, and there's unbelievable, this self-awareness that young, even though maybe a couple years older than me, but I wasn't there yet. So the fact that they were sharing things like bones without the meat, I was able, because I saw meat on the bones then, and I was still, all that stuff still had power over me. And so thankfully, these people throughout my life have really helped in the healing process by courageously sharing their own story. So that really is the only point with me sharing. So when we reside in the past, though, when everything still has power over us, that stuff just keeps going. Again, we are reliving the memories, and the brain does not know the difference between what happened 20 years ago and what's happening now if you're bringing it back, allowing it to come back. So it's just so super important. And I love another thing I think I heard it from Joe Dispenza, because, oh my gosh, it's interesting. I just love it when something just sticks to me, because it's just like that aha light bulb thing. And insight is great. Of course we're looking for insight, especially in our midlife. We love making sense out of things, right? Here's the thing though, insight is fun, very interesting, often very interesting, can feel good. However, it's just like a fancy way to say but, right? However, insight doesn't change behavior. Only effort changes behavior. We got to be aware of it first, because we cannot do what we don't know. Once we get that whatever it is we're doing isn't working for us anymore, it's then that we make a conscious choice. I don't want to live this way anymore. I don't want to live with he did, she did, they did to me, and identify, and then realize that however many months, years you've allowed that sort of negative internal dialogue to circle like a hamster in a wheel, realize it's not going to go away in a day. And just be, try to be compassionate, loving with yourself, and super, super, super patient. Because all you need to know is that healing will come. You've planted the seed, right? So just like a farmer plants the seed, all that positivity, that healing energy, that healing seed, the farmer doesn't plant the corn and then like 3 weeks in, lift up all the dirt and make sure that it's sprouting. You know what I mean? You plant the seed and know that you're gonna nurture it. Let's pretend like really dark, rich soil, rain and sunshine, the emotional equivalent of that. You're gonna just trust that that seed is growing. You planted a healing seed, it's doing its thing, okay? While you're taking action. So that might be, do the treatment thing. And also surround yourself with very good people. That's important in life in general, because we become who we're surrounded by, right? And also the biggie here for the action item is the meditating piece. And I'm a mindfulness fan, because sitting still is not really my thing. You can be mindful and sit still. We do it every day, and I teach classes. I'm standing, but they're sitting. But mindfulness obviously goes with us. It's just about being present in the moment. But here we're talking about, if you want to do it in a structured way, let's just stay there for a second. It's even if it's 1 minute, if it's just 1 minute with absolutely no technology on, no music unless it's wordless, because the brain will continue to process. It's kind of like if you're trying to meditate staring at a stop sign and somebody says, don't read it. You can't not read the stop sign, right? So when you're playing music with words, the brain can't not make sense of the words, which means you're taking a big wedge out of the circle of your attention to go to that. So if you have music, have it be meditation music that's just music flat out, okay? That's it. And then we can separate from our environment. Now stay with me. You might think, oh, she's getting all, touchy-feely. No, I'm not, because I'm all about the brain and the stimulation. So when we can separate from our environment, meaning the walls, the roof, the ceiling, and all the roles we have, wife, mom, professor, somebody standing in the kitchen, we just separate from all of that just for that minute. And if you can work yourself up to more, when you work yourself up to more, it's even better. But when we can actually detach from all that known stuff, everything, okay, and step out of those past memories just for a moment, the brain will slowly adapt and adjust, because it's plastic, and it will go in a place of really genuine awareness of the real self, who you are, separate from all that. The more you do it, the more we practice anything, the better we get at it, right? No matter what it is, skiing, cooking, whatever, bungee jumping, we get better at it. So if we practice being mindful, being present, we get better at it. And then, the gratitude thing is huge. Practicing an actual written journal, okay? Every single day, I'm grateful for, I'm grateful for, I'm grateful for. Write that 3 times, just one sentence. I'm grateful for Giovanni, the golden retriever. I'm grateful for my cup of hot tea. I'm grateful for my divine health. Less than 15 seconds. Let's say less than a minute, just to be safe. Somebody's a little bit, takes you a while, okay? And that will rewire the brain very quickly. In fact, the average amount of days for a habit to shift and stick is 21 days. So being present in the moment, even if you can only do it for a minute a day, is a start. And the gratitude journal, because you want to step out of those old memories, step into a place of being enough. And what we have, Melody Beatty says that, gratitude turns what we have into being enough. And this is the minute you commit to a gratitude practice, your healing has begun. So there you go. Stop bonding with your wounds, be in the now, and be grateful. And your healing is off and running. This is Kimberly Quinn signing off from, I feel like I want to sing the Frozen song, but maybe that wouldn't be good. I couldn't hit a note with a 2x4. So anyway, have a mindful, warm day.